Thank you for joining us at this time of day. We are, as always, we're very glad to have you on board to tell you how fantastically well the company has done in the past year. We report to the market our best ever sales figures since we started listing in Madrid almost 7 years ago. We posted an increased gross margin by 41%, and today Cisco Sapena, our CEO, and Ratu Sandizaga, our CFO, will explain to us first the strategy of the company and why the rationale behind these results, and the figures and the numbers are future plans. If you might have any questions, as always, please post it in the chat group or by direct message, and we will be happy to answer most of them, at least when the presentation is over. So flows to you, Cisco.
Arate, next page, please. Well, I realized that we resolved the small mismatch that we had this morning. Okay. Well, last year we have an increase of sales of 1.5 million over 2020. Okay. And also during last year in other webinars, we were talking about our willingness to become almost more than 50% of the sales that should come from the SaaS part, especially at the end of the year. Okay. Well, finally, it's not only 50 but 51. Okay. So we've finally reached that milestone that we were looking for. Okay. The gross margin during the last quarter have been 58%. It's a huge increase from year over year. Last year was around 47%. And well, it has been an increase of 1.3 million compared to 2020. Okay. As you know, or almost most of you know, last year we made an acquisition, a company called Indenova, and in this statement, 2 months are included in the consolidated income statement. Okay. And the number of employees rise from 99 to 179 by the end of 2021. Okay. We almost nearly doubled the amount of people that works in Lleida.net. Nevertheless, I think the master of the numbers in this company is Arate, so I let Arate to speak about that numbers.
Thank you, Cisco. So first of all, what we have to comment is that it's the first quarter that we include 2 months of Indenova's numbers in the P&L, because as you know, we have acquired the company during the month of November, but despite the signing date, we have agreed that we have to include 2 months, November and December. The main and the most important figure for us is the gross margin, but we're going to start talking about how the sales have gone. This year, we have reached around 18 million euros. It's the top number of sales that we have never reached before. And it's due because our SaaS have increased around 30% during the year and 36% during the quarter. We also include part of the sales of Indenova that are around 500,000 euros during this quarter. Cisco has mentioned before, what is the most important thing during this quarter? When we did our IPO, we wanted to develop our SaaS service, and that's why we obtained 5 million, and we are developing and trying to have new customers in this line of service because it has got much gross margin than the SaaS, the SMS part. Last year, the SaaS only represent 26% of the global sales, while the wholesale still represent 56%. We are closing this year with 41% of the sales coming from the SaaS part. more or less the same amount as the wholesale part. But in the last quarter, is more than the half of the global sales of the company. So we are really changing the mix of the sales of the company. And it's really important when we will see the gross margin. Another goal that we wanted to during the IPO was to be more international. This year, we have been able to sell abroad 66% of our sales. In 2015, we were still very depending of the domestic market, but right now we are able to sell our products worldwide, and it's true that most of these income still come from South America and Europe. We are working, as you know, in other markets, trying to be more international and depend less of Spain. In these slides, what we wanted to show is that the number of customers to whom we send invoice are increasing. The first figure represents the number of different customers to whom we have sent an invoice during this quarter. It has increased from 1.3 thousand until 1.44 thousand. So what we want to show is that we have more and more recurrent customer that is using our service. In the second figure, what you can see is that they are using in more units. So we are selling more euros to each customer that we have. So when we have one customer, what we do is to maintain them in the company, and they have to use more our service in more quantity or maybe in different products. So what shows is that we are increasing the level of sale that we have. So as we do all the quarter, we're going to explain each line of service that we have. First of all, as we have commented before, is the evolution of the SAAS, increase of 30%, double digit again in the SAAS part, not only during the year, but also during the quarter with 36%, reaching 2.7 million for the quarter. It has increased because we have been explaining to the market a lot of contracts that have been signed. They are starting to be under production, little by little, not fully production still, but also we include also all the part of the Indenova sales that are in this line of service. We think that the potential that Indenova has got for the future is higher than this quarter, than the one that it has had this quarter, because think that we are working in the mixing of the product between both companies, and the portfolio is increasing, and we're going to manage to arrive to more customers than what we do now. This slide is new comparing to the other quarter. We have always told that there is a stationality in Lleida.net sales. In the SaaS part, there's always an increase in the last quarter, and this year it hasn't been different, but it has been much bigger than the other quarter. We have increased 1.2 million this quarter in relation with the third quarter of 2021, while last year there was only an increase of 0.8 million. So it's an increase of 34%. The wholesales, I just remember you, is the part that includes all the SMS that we sell to different aggregators and operators worldwide. It has been a difficult year because it's a very competitive market where there has been a lot of M&A, and the price is the clue for signing or not signing a contract. The team of ICX has managed to maintain the gross margin that the company has in this line of service. And this is the important fact, because the sales in the wholesale part can be very different depending the termination fee you have for one country or another. Maybe you send to Brazil and it's 5 times more expensive than sending to Spain. So the important thing and the goal that they have in the ICX team is to maintain the gross margin that they have, and they have done really a good job this year. And the SMS, commercial SMS, is the line of service that we directly sell to customers that are in Spain, most of them, and there are to final customers here. So it's a very hard market, Cisco, no? Very competitive, yes. Very intensive in price, and the only effort really that we do is to maintain the customers that we have.
We keep the customers because we provide very good quality.
And
It's
they
the
still
business.
pay maybe a higher price than they will find in the market, but they still maintain with us the contract. So we have finished with a little increase this year, 5%, 2.7, and for the quarter, a little decrease of 50,000 euros. Gross margin is the figure that everyone in Lleida.net should analyze, because as I've said before, it's very depending on the wholesale part. We have increased the gross margin in more than 1.3 million for this year, and in the last quarter, more than almost 1 million. It's an increase very significant, and the important fact is that last year, the last quarter of 2020, the gross margin in relation of sale was 47%, and this quarter we have finished with 58%. It's mainly due to the change of the mix, the increase of the SaaS sales in the global sales, and also because the gross margin in the wholesale has been maintained. We have included also the same slide comparing quarter by quarter, and we always see the seasonality between the different quarters of the year, and the increase here is more than 1 million in gross margin. We have been able to win more than 1 million in the same quarter. Personal expense. I'm sure most of our investors should ask them why we have increased 1 million this year. Lleida.net is an R&D. Lleida.net, no. Indenova, the company that we have booked, is an R&D factory. They are able to do the future products that Lleida.net will have in his portfolio for the coming year. There were 32 people working in the company. Most of them are based in Valencia, and 20 are based in Colombia. So with the acquisition of the company, what we manage is to assure the future innovation of the group. And so that's why there's different number of employees in the different document that we have. We end the year with an average of 170 employees. The number of average employees for the quarter is 155, and the final photo at 31 of December is 179 as employee. So we have done a jump that will enable us to be very, very innovative and still maintain the R&D that we have, because otherwise we will not have the product that the company will need in the coming years. External service includes all the rest of the costs that the company has. It's also a jump of 0.7 million. Three main factors. First of all, we are right now in a normality of post-COVID. We are attending events, we are visiting customers, we are doing all we can do to try to push up the sales. Then we have also included the cost of 2 months of Indenova, because they have to rent his office, they have their own database. There are several costs that we have still not be able, we haven't have time to eliminate, because it's in the two company. So we are working right now in this, but it's still the double of cost. And the third, what I think is the most important, it's a cost which is not recurrent, is all the cost of the due diligence, the lawyers and the advisors that we have had for the acquisition of Indenova. It's more or less 1% of the sales, the cost of this acquisition, and take in mind that it also affect EBITDA that we will see later. So go on. Capitalization is the cost that we include in the P&L of the R&D that the company does. We have been always very prudent. Last year, as you can read, it's 700,000 euros, but we have really spent more money, but we haven't included in the P&L. It maintains in the 4%. We have also included all the R&D that Indenova has done during these 2 months. That is 63,000 euros. and we will be maintaining this rate of 4% in relation for sales in the coming years. EBITDA is the conclusion of all the costs of the income we have been explaining. So at the end of the year, we are able to finish the year in 2.3 million, including the cost of the due diligence and all the acquisition costs. And for the quarter, also, we jump until 700,000. And we always include also this slide. EBITDA without capitalization, or EBITDA cash, is the money that we are generating for the company, more than 1.5 million for the year. So what does it mean? That we will be able to pay all the loans that we have been doing for the acquisition of the network, and we are able to have more money to invest in internalization, in the developing of the SAAS, in R&D, and the company doesn't need to have more loans or doesn't need to do an increase of
Capital increase. Exactly.
And to conclude about P&L, we will talk about the earning before tax. It's the last line that we always provide in the results. It has been affected, first of all, because of the interest that come from Indenova. Take in mind that Indenova has its own debt that they have with the peer partners that they have, an interest rate much higher than the one of Lleida.net's group. We are working in trying to reduce this interest rate. We will see it in the coming quarter. But also we have got here the depreciation of the goodwill. The goodwill for the acquisition of Indenova only for 2 months is rise 78,000 euros. So we have finished the year with more than 1 million of benefits, and the quarter with more than 217. It never give if in the
Arrate?
Sí, Arrate. It's a right now. You wanna finish maybe, Cisco?
With the loan that they have, so that's why it's an increase of 1.7.
Arrate, sorry.
Arrate, we lost you for a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Where did you lose?
We have been lost without you.
Where?
We lost you when you were explaining how good our debt policy was.
What?
Yes, in this slide.
Okay, so I'm starting here again.
Yes, please.
Okay, so there's last slide where we talk about the P&L, is the earning before tax. We have managed this year to obtain 1 million of benefits before tax, and there's two main facts that affect the result. First of all, interest that come from Indenova loans. When we buy Indenova, we also booked is debt. They have loans with the peer partner that they have. So that's why we have an increase in the financial cost. And secondly, we have got the depreciation of the goodwill for the acquisition, and only for 2 months it has a rise 78,000 euros in 2 months. Okay, so we finished the quarter with the benefits before tax of 217. And the last one, we will talk about the debt. We don't give the balance sheet, the full balance sheet for the period in the advance of results. We will see it when we give the audit. And when we were coming from quarters where the net financial debt was negative, and everybody was asking us, what are you going to do with so much liquidity that you have? So at least we are acquiring Indenova. And Indenova means that right now we are in net financial debt positive, because first of all, we have done a first payment of the acquisition, 4 million, in relation with the 7 that the total transaction of the acquisition. And then we have also to include in the statement the debt that Indenova has. That's why we have got 1.7 more of debt. As a conclusion, right now, the net financial debt in relation with EBITDA is 1.83 times. So with all the cash that we are able to generate as we've seen in the EBITDA cash, it seems that we will not have problem in the devolution of the debt. Take in mind that all the loans that were signed for Indenova were for 7 years, so it's not a big problem. And this is the same that I've been explaining. So Cisco, for me, it's okay.
All right. Let me take it from here. We have 3 questions, which is quite reasonable. So I think we can cover them all. Cisco, Felix is asking, what are the ideas of these new products and services that Indenova can create for Lleida networks?
Well, first of all, digital signature. Okay. Indenova is EIDAS qualified in the different aspects that Lleida.net is not qualified. So between the two companies, we do all the full scenario of all different products that might be qualified. Okay. So we have to say that in Indenova, they are digital artists. Okay. And create very nice products, but now that products have to be replied many times. And our efforts is to allow them to multiply that marvelous products and turn it into what our customers are used to, in a way that every time that you use, you pay, and a payment pay for per transaction. Okay, this is what we are doing with Indenova. And also, we were very lucky because both technical teams, they connected very quickly, and they are developing things much faster than we expect. I have to say it. Okay, so congratulations for them. Next question.
Okay. There is one question which we are not going to answer. Felix is asking what are our 2022 estimations, but as those of you who've been with the company for a few years, we know that we do not provide guidance. We let the analysts do the job, and there is a market consensus. You can find all the analysis in our investors website. And so sorry for that. And Daniel is asking, is Indenova part of an M&A strategy, of an inorganic growth strategy, which I'll let Cisco to answer.
Well, basically, answer is depend. It depends. Okay. Keep in mind that we, let's say before buying Indenova, we checked almost 24 different companies. Okay. And probably we're going to check around 10 to 12 before buying another company. Maybe we may be lucky in a way that we may find that gem very quickly, but we are very conservative in a way that the money that we use is a money that we obtained from the company, and we are very conservative in that way, because ourselves, we are not a private equity company, we are not a venture capital fund. We are working with the money that we earn ourselves by our feet. Okay, so we prefer to be very conservative in a way that to look for which company may be useful for Lleida.net. Okay, that's why we in it. Well, it's the first acquisition in the 7 years that we have been working on the stock markets. Okay, but it's not gonna be the last one. Okay, even this morning, Arrate agreed that, well,
Yes.
Well,
I publicly told every investor that is not going to be the last one because we are really enjoying this this emerging. No?
yeah, well, let's say that Arate is starting to the, well, so sorry for saying that, but let's say you now you are feeling how sexy is to buy a company, okay?
I'm learning a lot, I can say.
Yeah,
It's the only thing I can say.
Yeah,
also myself.
tell me 20 years before you buy it. Uh, I was there. And so Daniel is saying that maybe it will turn into an addiction. Okay, next question.
Well, we are
Is
not we are not a company that this is. I don't think that is going to become an addiction like other like
like
our
listing
neighbors in the Spanish stock market.
No,
like
we need to focus on what we want, and we will
Exactly.
do the same.
but like listing in the stock markets, which is also an addiction of ours.
Not for me.
You know, it's not gonna be the last one.
Well, it's just
All
a
right.
matter of time to convince you.
Okay, let's not say more. We're public. Okay. Is finally last one. Is the competitive environment in ICX temporal, or is it a new reality?
It's a totally new reality. Okay, just have a look on our peers, Sync, Twilio, and others. What happened to them is what we saw in the market during the last 2 years. We realized that what they are explaining now, those companies are explaining now to the market, is what we realized ourselves since 2 years ago. A big competition, stretching margins, the operators themselves raising up the terminations fees, and competing and are fierce competing against the operators themselves. Okay. And this made that some of the stock price of that peers went down, well, at an amazing rate during the last months even. Okay, and it's going to be maintained. I don't think that is going to disappear in the coming months. This is the new reality. And also that's why we went to the stock market to try to build another reality for our company, which is the SaaS part with our patent, with our ideas, and with our market. Okay, the other competitors are trying to deal basically with marketing and with other things. Ourselves, we decided to go forward with registered services. We have been, I think we have been very successful, and we are going to be very successful in the very near future. Okay, and our future will be more bright than these other companies, I think.
There is one more. Just sent it. I think we might have time for a final one. How many? Carles is asking. Regarding our contract, I understand that he wants to know when are we going to see the results, the expected results of the contracts we signed with, for example, Telefonica that we announced a couple of weeks ago, the Papu agreement, the contract we are signing via Innova, like Interbank in Peru, etc. I think the question is, when are we going to see the fruits of the works of the new contracts we signed overall the past couple of years? That would include Emirates and all the rest.
Yes. Well, the problem is that big contracts are like apple trees. They are not vegetables. Vegetable is something that you put a seed, and in 2, 3, 4 months, you have the results. the vegetable itself that you are able to eat. In the fruit trees, you need years. And we have a very clear example. Actually, our second biggest customer is the National Colombian Post Company, 472. Okay, we signed the contract in 2015. Okay, and now 7 years later is our second biggest customer. Okay, it's a pity, I recognize it, but it takes time. Okay, but it's gonna be all of them are going to be very good orchards and they are going to produce many apples for us in the coming years, not in the next year. They're going to take time. Meanwhile, our duty is to produce more crops, not only that trees. Okay. Well, I'm able to speak in agronomical terms because I studied agricultural engineering. My specialty is fruit crops and gardening. Okay, and I made a good orchard with the name is Lleida.net.
You want some more? One by one, just one more.
Okay, one more.
I like this afternoon one because we do it so quickly. The Carlos is asking, and we're gonna leave it here. Regarding the patents, they are under Lleida.net's name or under Cisco's name, and how many lawsuits are open, and what's the potential revenue of our existing IP portfolio?
It's not a question. It's three questions. There are 3 questions. Okay.
Sorry. Okay, right.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
This information has been published, by the way.
I agree. Let's say that I am the writer of 95% of the patents. Okay. The other 5% are made by Lleida people. But the beneficiary is Lleida.net. Okay. And the company is full beneficiary of that patents. So, well, I have to say that I've been paid from the company to write these patents. Okay. I am obviously the writer, the inventor, and so, but the one who benefits from that patents is Lleida.net itself. Okay. The other question regarding litigation, yes, we have open. We started to have some litigations. Okay. Obviously, litigations is a long process where judges take times to decide and see, and we'll see. And the third question was?
The question, which we publish every time we release a new patent, is what is the potential revenue over time of our IP portfolio? How much money are we going to make out of? How much money are we going to make out of a patent over its 20 years of validity?
How much money?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, 9.7 million. This is the SAAS part.
This is a figure we publish every time we release a new patent. And
Yes.
so far, if I'm not mistaken, we have released more than 205 patents in over 60 countries. That's what I said, more than 205. And normally patents are awarded for a 20-year period. And they depends on one country and what market. They'll have a different potential revenue, but that's a figure that it's published, and we're happy to share it with you if necessary. Okay, in any case, as we don't want to engage with one-on-one right now, but you are please all welcome to write to us to our investor relations email or call us. We are always available. Our CEO is always available to talk to investors against my advice sometimes. I think we could call it a day now, unless you, Cisco or Ratio, want to say something else.
That's for my side. Thank you to everybody.
We wait you for the next webinar, I suppose in April, could be, more or less.
It depends, Cisco. This time it doesn't to close the the previous result. Take in mind that all the results that we have presented today are not still audited. So maybe some
Exactly.
will appear when
All this information is made with the information that the board have. Okay, it's still not audited. Okay, but I have to say that this time we were more or less little late on presenting these advanced results because we preferred to wait a little for the auditor regarding the Internova numbers. Okay,
and they are still regarding it.
Yes, and we like to publish in advance what is going to be the final one. Okay.
All right,
So
then.
basically, well, thank you for coming. We wait you for the next event.
Thank you very much to everyone.
Bye.
Bye.